You know, everyone expects me to talk about homosexuality, and what I want to talk about is God. I think, you know, the real question for me is, what does this discussion about homosexuality say about the God we worship? And you know, I have to ask the question, when someone stands up and reaffirms the church's position that homosexuals are an abomination before God, does anybody think that that sends people running to the most local Anglican church to want to get to know that God better? I don't think so. And the people who are saying those things are calling themselves evangelicals, when my understanding of an evangelical is someone who wants to bring people to Jesus. And so I want to talk tonight about God's love for all of God's children. And I want to offer a word of hope to all kinds of people who have been told that they are unworthy of God's love. Divorced people, physically challenged people, women. I mean, my goodness, we've just finished this enormous debate about whether women are fit matter for ordination to the episcopate here in England. And what I want to say to all those people is, of course you are unworthy. We are all unworthy, but we have been made worthy through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. And God is calling you to ministry and to leadership in the church, all of you. And so I want to offer that message of hope to those who have been excluded for whatever reason.
You've said you're allowed to preach here today in Putney. What does that mean?
Initially, the Archbishop of Canterbury had said that I would not be allowed to preach or celebrate. The conservative press actually pressed him on that, and the Lambeth Palace clarified and said that actually the Archbishop of Canterbury cannot prohibit someone from preaching if they are invited by a local incumbent. And so the incumbent here at St. Mary's Putney invited me to preach and checked with his bishop, who gave his approval, and so I'm preaching here tonight.
What reason were you given for your exclusion from Lambeth?
I was actually not told a reason. I mean, I think it was very clear from our discussions that the conservatives had said that if I was invited, they wouldn't come. And you know, I can't fault the Archbishop of Canterbury for wanting to have as many of the bishops at Lambeth as possible. But in the end, of course, it didn't purchase their participation, because it wasn't enough to exclude me. People were angry that the bishops who consented to my election or laid hands on me were going to be present. You know, I think it's a sad thing when a Christian declares themselves out of communion with another Christian. We don't get to choose who the family of God is. God chooses that, and our baptism, we are proclaimed children of God. Our job is to welcome them and try to love one another as God loved us.
Why have your Episcopal colleagues in the Episcopal Church not boycotted Lambeth on your behalf?
Because I asked them not to. A number of American bishops, and not just American bishops, but bishops in the Episcopal Church, which of course includes quite a number of countries, said that they would not come if I were not invited. And so at our House of Bishops meeting in March, I said to them, I've gotten final word that I'm not to be included, and you must go. You must go and find your voice on behalf of those of us who cannot be there. We cannot leave this conversation to the conservative voices only. And so I begged them to come.
Are you concerned that your presence could overshadow the Lambeth Conference? Is this all about Gene Robinson?
It is not all about Gene Robinson. I will do everything I can not to make that the case. I don't want to be a distraction. You know, in a world where 40 million people are dying of HIV/AIDS, women and children are degraded, a billion people are living on less than $1 a day. The bishops are called to focus on so many other things, and this is the place that I think that the Archbishop of Canterbury got it exactly right. That you know, this Lambeth is not to be about pronouncements and resolutions and legislation. It's about deepening the bonds of affection across these various divides, and each day will be devoted to various themes. And I think the Archbishop has gotten it exactly right, that this is to be about conversation, about responding to the needs of the world.